Hello everyone, welcome back to Kodular Free AIA. This is Sibza and today I'm going to show you how to fetch data from a MySQL database and display it on your Kodular screen. I have already set up my screen and added the web components to fetch data from the MySQL database. I have also included a notifier. Now let's add a few more elements to make the Kodular app look even better. I'm just going to quickly add some components to give it the look and feel of a real polished app. So I'll stop talking for a bit and you will see everything happening on your screen. Okay, so now that we have our layout ready and before we start actually coding with MySQL, we need to connect our Kodular app to the MySQL database. For this, there are a few important steps to follow. Let me walk you through them. This is the link you will need to set up MySQL. It includes all the core files as well as MySQL script you will need to download. This file is essential. You will upload it on your web server and then use its URL inside your Kodular blocks. I have already downloaded the mysql.php script and uploaded to the public HTML directory on my web server. As you can see here, the mysql.php file is already in place. You will also need to enter your database credentials in this file. I have already added mine and you will need to do the same. Additionally, there is a SQL key in that file. You will need to copy and paste that key into your Kodular blocks as well. Now you will also need to create a database on your server. I have already created mine, so I'll go ahead and open PHP my admin. Here I'm going to create a new table. You can also create a table and insert data directly from Kodular, but I am not doing this in this video. For now, I will manually create the table and show you how to fetch and display its value in your app. Let's quickly create a table. I will name it my table and we will add 3 columns. Just going to be ID, name and email. Okay, so now the table is created and let's insert a couple of rows. have successfully created a table with 2 rows of data. Now I will show you how to display these values on your Kodular screen. So let's head back to Kodular and start coding. Alright, so as I showed you earlier, that link we need to for MySQL connectivity, we're gonna use all the blocks from that for MySQL connectivity blocks. So I will be using those blocks now. I have already added them to my backpack, so let's start adding them one by one. You will notice that I have my mysql.php link ready. Inside the initialize global URL block, you need to paste the full link of your mysql.php file. When you upload this file to your server, specifically to the public HTML directory, it will become accessible via the web. This means your file is working correctly. So in this block, enter your full website URL followed by mysql.php. That's all you need to do for the URL setup. Next, you need to add your SQL key. Remember, I mentioned earlier that you would need this SQL key in Kodular. This is the secret key you must use here. That key was secret. You can name it whatever you like, but I have leave it as it is, but you can change the name if you want. Now let's move on to the query part. This is where we define what data we want to retrieve from the database. We will use the global key and the global query variables, and we also need to handle screen initialization and error messages using the appropriate blocks. All of these blocks are part of the MySQL connectivity setup. Don't worry too much about the logic behind each one right now, just add them as they are. The main blocks we will be working is when the web1 got text block. Inside this block, you will see that we handle two types of response codes, to 200 and 201. A response code of 200 indicates a select statement was successful. For example, if your query is something like select hash from employees or whatever the table, this is the part of the code that will run. A response code of 201 is for other type of queries like insert, delete and update, etc. In our case, we are only using a select statement, so we will stick with the 200 response code and remove the else if part for 201, since we don't need that right now. Now that we have set everything up, we will write the actual block code here to display the selected data from the database on your Kodular screen. There is a little change that I have made, that I have switched to MIT App Inventor because the Kodular company wasn't working properly and I am already late. So I have switched to MIT App Inventor, but don't worry, it's almost exactly the same. I just exported the AIA file from Kodular and imported it here into App Inventor. Everything is working fine. I will demonstrate the coding here and you can export the AIA file back into Kodular if you prefer working there. Now let's set up the files needed for MySQL connectivity. These include the web component, a few essential variables, and the web.got text block. I have already shown you earlier which files and blocks are needed, so I have copied them as it is. Next, we will set up a query that runs when the user clicks button 1. I want web1 to fetch all the data from the table in the database when this button is clicked. So let's add functionality to the button 1.click event. Inside that block, we will call a procedure called run query. In the run query, I will write the SQL query that is going to be select all from my table. This query will retrieve all rows from our table. Next, we will display the data on label 1. To do this, we will loop through the list of results using for each number loop from 1 to the length of the list. We don't always know how many rows will be returned, so we will use the length of list block to handle this dynamically. Now the response content returned from the web component is in a raw format. So we will convert it to a more readable format using the list from CSV table block. This helps organize the data properly. We also need a global variable. Let's name it name and initialize it as an empty list. Then we will add the individual rows from the CSV content into the global list. To display this data on the screen, we will use set label 1.text to show values from our list. If we want to show each row more clearly, we can use select list item with our global list and the current loop index. Also, when using the CSV table, the first row usually contains column like ID, name, email. To avoid displaying that, start your loop from index 2 instead of 1. Let's test it out using the emulator or the companion app. After scanning the QR code, press the show data button. Okay, I made a small mistake. I used the wrong table name. It should be my table. Let's fix that and try again. Alright, another small fix. I was setting label 1.text to the global list, which is incorrect. I should use the another label for this. Okay, if you want to show the specific item from the list, let's say if you want to display the first row, you can do that by selecting index 1. Perfect. Now you can see the data from MySQL displayed on the screen. So that's how you fetch and display data from MySQL database onto your Kodular screen. If you need further modifications or want me to add anything else, feel free to leave a comment below. I will be happy to help. I will see you in the next tutorial with something new. Until then, happy coding and peace.